Did Chevy just beat Ford at their own game? We're going to find out in today's video. I'll include a link to the Carl Malone Chevy and Ford here in Park City's websites in the description down below. They're providing us with both the trucks. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Under the hood of the Ranger is a turbo 3-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed, fuel economy 16 around town, 18 on the highway with power outputs being 405 horsepower and then 430 pound-feet of torque. Powering the Colorado is a turbo 2.7-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed, fuel economy 16 around town, 16 on the highway with power outputs being 310 horsepower and then 430 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. The Ranger has those little hood vents, and this one's finished in shelter green, which looks fantastic. We also have the C-shaped headlights, the giant Ford logo on the grille, fog lights, recovery points, and skid plate protection, as well as a steel bumper. Turbo Max badge with the giant hood bulge here with the Colorado. Very sharp looking headlight design, and then you can see the grille is all blacked other than the red accenting with the ZR2 logo and the Chevy bow tie. We've got fog lights, recovery points, skid plates, and upgraded steel bumpers with this too. So far, the equipment is very similar between both trucks. 285 by 70 by 17 is the tire and wheel setup on the Ranger Raptor. 315 by 70 by 17 is the tire and wheel setup on the Colorado. The Ranger has side steps, whereas the Colorado has rock rail protection. Both trucks have that wide fender flare, wide fender look. The Colorado has multimatic shocks and leaf springs. The Ranger Raptor is coil sprung with Fox shocks. Now here's the side profile with the Colorado. Those larger tires definitely give it a much more aggressive appearance. Now here's the Ranger Raptor, and I would like to mention you can fit 315 by 70 by 17 inch tall tires on the Ranger Raptor. You gotta move the crash bar I think a little bit, but it can work. The Colorado has a spare tire in the bed. It also comes with an outlet, and we've got protection from the factory. There's also drainable storage here and a ruler on the tailgate. The Ranger Raptor has an outlet in the bed. We've got protection from the factory and a ruler on the tailgate. Spare tires underneath the truck with the Ranger Raptor. We've got an upgraded rear bumper with recovery points here on the Colorado. The Ranger Raptor also has recovery points, and it comes with a special bumper too. Now again, the Colorado definitely has a more aggressive stance, but if you're willing to put a little bit of aftermarket support into the Ranger Raptor, you can make it just as aggressive. Legroom in the Colorado is not great, but it works. We have vents, cup holders, USB ports, gray trim on the door panel, and then we also have more gray trim here on the seats. They're perforated, they're comfortable. And then the rear glass does open, but it's manual for the function. It looks like the Ranger Raptor might have a little bit less space, but it seems like it's pretty similar overall. And then down below, there's a little bit of storage, some outlets. I don't see any vents though. The door panel is less stylized, but I do like the feel of the trim. It feels very durable. Same thing with the seats. They do have a little bit of red accenting on them. And then the window here in the back is actually power for the operation. We've got more of the gray with the neon stitching for the Colorado. The driver window is automatic. We've got memory seats, blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. 1,045 pounds of payload capacity. And the truck itself weighs about 5,300 pounds. AEV there on the headrest. Again, really nice trim all down the seat. You do have power adjustments on the side, lumbar support. Trailer brake controls off to the side, and then more of that stitching on the dash with the gray trim. The Ranger Raptor's got more of that durable trim all over the door panel. We've got blind spot monitoring, memory seats, and then the mirrors power fold in. 1,286 pounds of payload capacity. And this truck actually weighs more at about 5,500 pounds. Raptor there on the top of the seat. But yeah, aggressive bolstering, power adjustments, lumbar support. Just have your light controls off to the side, and then you've got cool trim around the vent there. Let's see what's going on with the Colorado. Pretty cool looking steering wheel, but I think they could have done more neon stitching if they wanted to. Anyways, a bunch of practical controls here on the front, and then we do have a full digital gauge cluster. Now this comes with a 360 camera system. GM's cool party trick is they have underbody cams as well. The infotainment system is quick to respond, has a shortcut bar below it. We've got climate controls, dual zone climate, heated and ventilated seats. Diff locks for the front and the rear. We also have auto stop start. If you want to turn that off, you have an auxiliary item available. Wireless phone charging pad with some USBs. This does have a manual shift function for the 8-speed automatic. Part-time four-wheel drive system with 4-wheel auto, and you also have drive modes for both on-road and off-road use. Got some cup holders, quite a bit of storage here. Nice trim on the top of the center console. Same thing with the dash. Got the ZR2 logo there at the end. This truck is equipped with a sunroof. Start up the Ranger Raptor. Got the cool Raptor steering wheel with the marker there at the top, paddle shifters on the back. There's a bunch of practical controls in the front, like your steering, suspension, exhaust, and even custom modes set up, and then of course adaptive cruise control on the other side. Just like the Colorado, we have a full digital gauge cluster. No underbody cam, but we do have a nice 360 camera system. Now, a lot of the off-road tech is built into the screen, like the diff locks for the front and the rear, and your off-road cruise control as well. Which, although is not ideal, I will say that the infotainment system itself responds very quickly. They at least give you some physical buttons for the climate controls. We also have a wireless phone charging pad, some USBs. No truck is complete without trailer brake controls. Not a fan of the shifter, but it works. Same exact driveline setup as the Colorado. We also have a bunch of different drive modes, and then you got some shortcut buttons here, like for the off-road pages. Nice trim here on the center console. Good storage space. And speaking of storage space, you also have a top glove box lid, which is nice. 6 auxiliary switches from the factory, and then no sunroof for this truck. The Colorado stickers for almost $65K. The Ranger Raptor stickers for about $59K. Let's see which one performs the best. Ranger Raptor. So I think this is everyone's favorite. We'll drive this one first, and then we'll see if the Colorado can keep up with the Ranger Raptor. But man, Ford in this mid-size pickup truck segment is, man, they're pulling all the stops. Everyone else is going 4-cylinder, even hybrid, and Ford's like, no hybrids, and we're gonna do V6s. Now this engine is beautiful. And you gotta remember, this is the stock tune. You can get Ford's performance tune and get even more power out of this engine. But super smooth with the 10-speed. And it just has so much low-end torque. It's very impressive. And the ride qualities, I mean, again, with the Fox shocks and everything, it's amazing. Now, you can fit, I've seen videos now, you can fit 315 by 70 by 17. I think you have to move the crash bar or something. One of the other YouTubers did a video on it, if I remember right. I try to remember everyone's names, but like, it's hard. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is you can fit the same size of tires as what the Colorado has. Those are 34.4 inch tall tires. If math does me justice. Something like that. So you could have a much more aggressive and more compliant, so more aggressive look, more compliant ride. That would be cool. But yeah, just from the box, the steering's great. The suspension dampening, it's a Raptor. It's fantastic. It has a good mix of being comfortable over the big bumps, but then also being sharp with the handling. This balances things out quite well. So it's a, I would say it's like kind of like the best of both in a lot of ways. See how the turning is. I should be able to get around here in one little, yeah. It's a mid-size pickup truck, so turning radius is good. The power is great. Again, it's not like, you gotta remember, this is still a mid 5,000 pound pickup truck, so it's not gonna be like the fastest thing on the planet, but for a pickup truck, it's pretty darn quick, and it sounds good too. It's still a V6, it's not a V8, right? But for what it is, it sounds pretty darn good. Love the steering wheel. Definitely has a sporty feel to it too. So, altogether, this looks great on the outside, drives really well, and you can fit bigger tires without a lift or anything. So like, that Colorado better be something real special to be able to beat the Ranger Raptor, especially considering it's more expensive. Let's go pop in. Well, ZR2 Bison. First off, cooled seats, it's nice. It would be cool if that was an option on the Ranger Raptor, but I do also like the seats not having perforations. It's easier to clean after some off-road use. Now I will say right off the bat, the suspension on this is more compliant. Now I think part of that's also the larger tires, but I think in general, the Multimatics are kind of more tuned towards comfort. And you kind of feel with the ride where it sways more. It's not quite as razor sharp and tight as what you have with the Raptor. Doesn't handle poorly, but it has more of like a traditional kind of floaty off-road truck feel to it. Just a little bit different. Yeah, the ride on this is definitely better. But again, I'm wondering, like, I want to drive a Ranger with the larger tires on it to see if it is the tires that helps out. Because it does, but just how much. But I do imagine this would probably still feel a little bit more comfortable even if the tires are the same size. Because with the Ranger Raptor, right, they're tuning things to handle well, to be sharp, and so when you do that, you're gonna lose a little bit of compliance with the ride. Yeah, this feels like definitely more of an overland. Like the Ranger Raptor's like sporty, go, 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 right? This is kind of more relaxed, laid back, kind of just like an overland. Like I would overland with this, whereas the Ranger Raptor's like I want to go and take it off a jump. You could jump this too, technically, but it just doesn't have the same kind of like aggressive go, go, go feel. And the engine, right, doesn't sound as good, doesn't have as much power. Like it's quite a bit slower than the Ranger Raptor. It's adequate. Like the Ranger Raptor, again, feels pretty quick, feels sporty. This just feels adequate. So here's the difference there. Sorry, my GoPro's falling off. So in summary, with this comparison, I think, like, I appreciate the bumper. Like AEV does amazing bumpers. They're stamped steel. It's fantastic. And the skid plates they add and everything else, like their stuff's really high quality. Ford undercut Chevy though, because they just offer a lot of that stuff as the standard kit rather than making it so that it's this optional package. And so yeah, it makes so the Ranger Raptor's less money. So I do think you get more for less with the Ranger Raptor for the most part. And again, like I could buy a Ranger Raptor MSRP $59K. I could buy that Ranger Raptor, get the Ford Performance Tune and the same size tires as this has, and still be less money than this. So let me know which one you go with, but I'm gonna pick Ranger Raptor.